Welcome back to another Random Land on location. You know, every once in a while, there's a place so epic, so awesome, a place I know enough about to know I'm gonna like so much. I almost don't want to know anything else before I get there. I don't want to see pictures of it. I don't want anyone to describe the layout to me. I know that once I get there, I'm gonna be blown away, and so I save it for a rainy day. Well, today, this is one of those places because we are about to go inside for my first time ever, the Valley Relics Museum up here in Van Nuys, California. This should be interesting. Okay, this is the most insane, overstimulating place I have ever been in my entire life already. I'm standing here with Julie. Julie, you gotta tell us who you are and what this place is because my mind doesn't work anymore.
Hi, Justin. It's really been fun talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm Julie Ream, and I'm a founder at Valley Relics Museum and a curator. I've been with them since they opened, and I just think it's an absolutely fabulous place.
This is blowing my mind. The neon in here, the signs, the cars. So how did this place get started? What is the mission of this place? How long has it existed? Because I've been hearing about it for years, and this is my first time ever walking in the door.
I knew you would love it. It's a pop culture museum, and it started, the owner of the museum's name is Tommy Chalinas, and he's a wonderful guy. You've got to come back and interview him when he's available. He just loved the San Fernando Valley, as we all did. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and he grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and he loved everything, and he wants to preserve all those memories, and he is doing it. And so everyone who comes into the museum feels like a part of the museum, and they throw in and contact him for I found this, or this business is going out, because he's going to jump in and rescue them.
All this stuff is from the San Fernando Valley, like everything in here?
Most all of it. It's
or
sort of
connected
morphed.
in some way?
It started off that way, and then it just morphed into, because what do you leave out? Orange County and
right, Orange
Disneyland,
County and
but can't
LA.
do that.
Yeah, sure.
So yes, it morphed, and Tommy started in a warehouse storing things in Chatsworth.
Okay.
Opened up the museum, sort of made that into a museum because people talked him into doing it.
I remember hearing when it first opened, sort of like, well, it's kind of a place you can go sometimes. It's sort of open sometimes.
Right.
And that's why I never came.
Because everybody has jobs,
Yeah.
and it's all volunteer that we do here.
Wow.
And so he opened up there, and then he was able to come here and got to airplane hangars, which is where we are.
Oh, is that what these are?
Yes, and where we are is at
The
the...
size of these things.
They're huge.
It's huge.
And where we are is at the end of the Van Nuys Airport.
Oh my gosh, and look at all this stuff. Look at the signs. What I love about this immediately, what strikes me, and I've never thought about this before, is that most of the valley up here was sort of settled or filled out at the same time as Orange County. So a lot of the stuff I'm seeing in here is stuff that's like super familiar to me from growing up and sort of the remnants of my grandparents' time in the 50s. And this is blowing my mind.
Every age group comes in here, and you can see that it covers everything from 8 to 80.
Yeah.
And everyone who comes in here, the minute they walk, they don't leave friends. They come in and instantly make friends of everybody that's in here.
This is so cool.
They share all that common love.
Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, and so what is this room here?
This is our event center, and it's my most favorite room because it's got houses the largest of the neons, and it is where you can have an event. When you have an event here, the door opens up, and you can have your food vendors come in, set it up any way that you want for it to be, and then you...
Do people get married in here?
Oh, they do everything.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
And it's absolutely wonderful. It's open on the weekends, so it's open on Saturdays and Sundays.
Is the museum open in 7 days or just the weekends?
Just the weekends.
Okay.
And you can have events 7 days a week.
That is so cool. Okay, and so this room, we're going to walk around with Connor, who also works in here. Connor, come over here, and we're going to meet back up with you and go into another room in a second. There's a lot to see. What's up, Connor? How's it going? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so who are you? What do you do at Valley Relics? Because I know there's some interesting stuff to see.
Well, I'm Connor. I work here at Valley Relics, and I help run the arcade. Our arcade is based on an arcade called Family Fun Arcade, which is on Balboa in Devonshire for about 40 years.
Wow.
We're one of the longest running arcades in the San Fernando Valley. Unfortunately, we closed in 2012, but we get to continue it on here at Valley Relics.
So you've been working with the museum for how long?
About 5 years now.
That's insane. Okay, so show us some of the stuff in here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so this right here is it's a little man statue. I'm sure you know a little bit about that.
A little man. That's the Truly Nolan guy, right? The pest control guy.
Yeah, exactly.
From
From Western Exterminator. This was a very...
Oh, Wesley Exterminator. Truly Nolan's a different guy.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, got it mixed up.
Look at the size of him.
Yeah,
How tall is that thing?
It's about 17 and a half feet.
And his name is the Little Man?
Little Man, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at him beckoning us closer with his freaking finger. And then these guys here are from A&W, right? The big guy with the burger,
Yes.
that's the dad from an old A&W. What about this VW Bug?
So this was done by an artist named Kemp Bash. It's a history of the world on a Volkswagen Bug.
Oh my
so if you
gosh.
go all the way around it, it's got stuff from every different era, every different event in history, and it tries to catalog the human experience.
So, I mean, I can see everything from like Mayan stuff to the Pegasus horse
Yeah,
from
Maya Angelou
Momo. And then
as
you
well.
got these Schwinn twin here. There's a race
Absolutely.
car. And we don't want to dwell on too many things and blow it all in one video because this is a place we can come back to many times. But what is this huge bowling sign right here?
Well, Googie fans might have seen it before. This is from Premier Lanes in Santa Fe Springs.
Wow.
This is one of the most iconic pieces of Googie sign work that was ever created. It's been photographed thousands and thousands of times, and it gets to rest here at Valley Relics.
This was right across the street, basically, from where we get our T-shirts printed.
Oh, really?
These guys have been printing my shirts from when I was in bands or from now since like high school. And I wondered what happened to this. Tyler and I were just talking about this. And by the way, we got Tyler behind the camera. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Tyler's doing really well. So that's insane. And how does it look? I can't believe that fits in here. It is like right to the roof.
It is, yeah. It's actually higher than that beam right there. The star goes very
You
high
guys
up.
have
on
to
this
measure before you like start to move
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, we measure twice.
Were
3
you with
times.
them when they got
no,
this?
I wasn't, and I look at it and I just wonder how they did it. I mean, I've helped out with a lot of these signs. This one was very high up. It's a very big sign,
Man.
and it's just incredible that they were able to take it down
Yeah,
and preserve it.
you don't realize how big these things are
No.
when they're up in the sky. Look at the size. I mean, look at me next to it. I'm 6 feet, so I don't know what the letters even are. They're huge.
It's huge.
What is
I
this
mean,
behind us?
Well, that's the Palomino.
Oh my gosh, the Palomino.
The Palomino.
So for the sake of our friends who don't live in Southern California, what was the Palomino?
Well, the Palomino is basically CBGB's of country western. So it was
so well put. I love that.
Thanks. Yeah, so it was a country western club. Johnny Cash played there, the Flying Burrito Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
It was a place that a lot of people got their start, and the bargain was that once you make it big, you have to come back and play a show.
Oh, that rules.
And some of them did, some of them didn't.
And this is all original neon. Like I can't believe it's all working. There's a lot of this stuff have to be restored, or
Yes.
they get it like this.
Yeah, we work on all our own stuff, and we make
Really?
sure.
So you have neon guys and
Oh yeah,
stuff?
yeah. I mean,
so
I've worked on a
cool.
lot of these signs. We have a guy who's a crane operator and a sign guy. He's incredible. He's been
Wow.
doing this for longer than I've been born. So
And then this over here, this is the money shot.
Yeah,
over
this
here.
is-
This is your family's arcade.
yeah, so this Family Fun Arcade that was us. This is my domain over here.
What year did it open? You said 40 years and it closed in
It's
2012?
73.
73. So it would be 50 years this year.
Yeah, so it was right after
Wow.
the legalization of pinball.
You don't look old enough to have started the arcade.
Absolutely
so who was that?
not. That was well, it was actually another family who were accountants, and they realized after a while that the arcade industry is kind of a tough one to be in with a bunch of teenagers running around.
I guess so.
And they didn't want to manage it anymore.
They were accountants?
Yes.
So they were nickel and diming people, and they thought, we'll go in for the quarters.
For the quarters, there
That'll
you
be
go.
the money shot.
Well, actually, at that point, it was nickels and dimes.
Oh, was
on
it
the
still?
games.
Wow, look at that. So
but-
you grew up with your family owning the place? Is
Yes.
that what happened? Oh my God.
Absolutely.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Man, that's amazing. So you grew up like your whole life with all these classic video games. So
Oh,
do you
yeah.
remember these
Yeah.
from the place? So all
Absolutely.
these came from there?
Well, most of these were handpicked. So when we started at this location, we didn't have a lot of games, and at the last location, there were 2 or 3 games. But when we went here, we were allotted this space to put as many games as we want. So I went through, all my memories of what were the best times I had playing games. What were my favorite games as a kid?
So I was just going to ask you, like, which one is your favorite?
Dance Dance Revolution.
Really? Dance
far.
Dance Revolution.
Absolutely.
So this is like a little, I wouldn't say after my time, but I would say like I wasn't like really little when this
Yeah.
came out, I could drive. Let's
Yeah,
put it that
so
way.
This specific version, DDR Extreme, was 2002, but the game came out in 1998. This is a
That early, really?
Yeah, well,
That's
this
so
is
cool.
What's interesting about this is it's a Japanese cabinet, So if you look on here, it's all in Japanese.
Oh yeah.
Dance Dance Revolution didn't have an American release until the mid or late 2000s.
This reminds me of that episode of King of the Hill. You ever see that? And they go to Japan, and then Bobby Hill meets some girl, and they're dancing on the Dance Dance Revolution machine.
I haven't seen it, but I gotta check it out
get a
now.
clip of that playing in the museum. This is what I remember right here: Champion, Street Fighter 2, and then this was the bee's knees.
Neo Geo,
Like
yeah.
when I was a kid and the Neo Geo came out, that was insane. Whoa, we're fighting, we're
Oh,
fighting.
yeah.
This is crazy. So how long is this up? So when you closed in 2012, how long between then the arcade closing and then Valley Relics opening up and taking this up? Was it immediate or?
Well, Valley Relics got the sign and 2 games when we went out of business. The 2 games were put on display. The sign was put into cold storage, but it was being preserved. When we moved to this location, we finally had enough space to put the sign up.
I love
and
that.
it was an exciting moment when that sign went on that wall.
Look at this, Tyler. Look up there. You got the Palomino. You got old liquor stores. You've got historic venues and drugstores and bowling alleys. And then this is so cool. You got the Family Fun Arcade underneath. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's a part of history that you don't even think would go in a museum.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's like my parents' age into my age into like I love that there's a little and arcades have kind of gone the way of the Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Nickel was sort of like the last like wave, those Nickel places over
Oh,
there,
yeah.
which I'm sure your family.
I've seen them, yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't have loved those. You're like, no.
You know, I never went to one. I saw one in Oregon, and we didn't end up going. I begged.
It was
but he
okay.
said no.
It smelled funny in there.
Yeah.
Your place was probably much nicer. This is incredible. So so out of these, Dance Dance Revolution, what's your number 2 favorite?
Probably Initial D, the driving game.
I don't know about this one. What is this? We had Cruisin' USA.
This
in
is
my
a
time.
newer version of it. The version you would have seen at our arcade was Initial D3. This is Initial D8. With the racing games, better technology does usually translate to better gameplay. With some of the older games, I'm a CRT freak. I won't play if it's meant to be
won't
played on
replace an
CRT.
LED screen?
Never.
That's
no
awesome.
LCDs. But with driving games, the technology does get better. I sprung for something.
This is
a
so
little
cool.
newer.
This is like the last thing I knew about the neon sign. There's all kinds of vehicles in here, like Spicoli's van. We won't even talk about that. Don't even look at it. Look this way. Don't even look at it. Look at Connor. Look at Connor's face over here. But I never expected the arcade stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That is so cool. That
I
is
like to
so
look at
awesome.
it like you look at the walls, all the neon and the electricity, but now it spills down onto the floor right here where you can touch it and play with
So
it.
how does your family feel about that? Like, man, some of our stuff's in the museum. You've got to love it.
Oh, they love it.
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a little piece of the dream is still living on.
Absolutely. I mean, it was very sad when we went out of business, and to be in a way still open, it's incredible.
What is this bell up here?
It's the Liberty Bell,
From where?
Philadelphia. No, I'm just kidding. It's from Robinson's department stores. They used to
Really?
have they would have a line of those going all the way down, and they had a little section of a telephone pole at the bottom that you could come up and shake it, and it would shake the entire row of bells.
I
You do
never
it as
knew
kids.
about that.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
so cool. Okay, thank you, Connor.
Absolutely.
It's
It's
so
a pleasure
cool
to meet
meeting
you.
you. I cannot wait to come back and back and back. And I didn't know the games worked.
And they're all on free play.
They're all on what?
All on free
Oh,
play.
I'm ready to come back and do a little
Absolutely.
playing. Okay, we're back with Julie over here, and Julie's going to lead us into the next room. What is this room?
This is our museum. This is our event space, and this is our museum.
Okay, so now we're going in the museum
We're going
proper.
to head in here.
Okay, we're
I'm
going
gonna
this way.
We're going to start down here because at the very beginning, where when you get your tickets, you come in.
Okay, so we came in kind of like a side door. We came in the roll-up door as they were doing a little work on the museum for an event, which we'll get to in a
It's
second.
not in its best shape right
Yeah,
now.
it's a
but
mess.
It's almost there.
That's what I
It's
say when visitors come over to my house. We had a flood.
Well, you gave us a lot of time to get ready today, so we had enough time. When we come in here, through this door where you buy your tickets, we start with this is aerospace and this is Hollywood, because those were the 2 industries that built the San Fernando Valley.
This is awesome. Look at this, Tyler. I see the big Skunk Works sign up there, which I know has a family connection to you. There's a lot of family connections, but one
It
family
does.
connection
If you
there.
ever want to focus on interesting airplane stuff, you can talk to my husband
Yeah,
anytime.
look at
He'll
that. And
tell
he
you
worked
about
at the
that.
Skunk Works, and
Yes,
you
he
have
did.
all this. And a lot of people probably don't know this, unless you grew up here. And I grew up in Anaheim, and we had a lot of aerospace industry warehouses, which when I was a kid were abandoned by then and being torn down.
That's right.
But I grew up with people who worked at least still for Boeing or Hughes or something
Right.
like that. So I think a lot of people know about the movie industry, but not a lot of people realize that aviation was a big deal in Southern California.
No, when you walk into, anybody who comes in this museum, that's my age or older or
Yeah.
younger, somebody was in aerospace in their family. Everybody was either in aerospace or entertainment, almost always.
Because they designed all this stuff, the spy planes, you got the SR-71 over there, and then obviously the space shuttle and everything. We have Edwards Air Force Base, and so aviation people know.
Right.
I think like my son probably doesn't know. Really, they built that in California? They built everything in California.
If you bring him in here, he'll get interested, and then when he gets bored, he can go play video.
We're gonna come on a field trip. We'll show him the video games last, or
All
we'll
right.
be in big trouble. Okay,
So we're gonna head a little bit this direction.
Okay.
And then end up here.
Okay,
But
we're gonna
right
end up here. Don't look.
Briefly, I'm gonna show you what the museum has to offer.
Okay, that sounds
And then I want
awesome.
you to come back and talk to Tommy.
Okay.
Because he's just wonderful. Nudi's Rodeo Tailors, the Palomino Club, music, BMX, and this piece right here, which is Hollywood related, was
Whoa.
in Jack Webb's Encino home. And it was, they allowed us to take it out of the wall, and Connor's father rebuilt the sides to make it match.
And who was
this
Jack Webb, for the sake of our
Jack
younger
Webb.
viewers?
You have got to fall in love with Jack Webb. I'm going to get you interested in Jack Webb. He created True TV and the shows Dragnet and Adam 12 and Emergency and a lot of things before that. And
That
he was
is
a
so
producer and
cool.
an actor, and he would watch on these 9 TVs, which was state of the art in the 60s. He would watch all of his competition, all of his shows, and he would sit in his room. We also have a 9-foot sofa from his house that needs to get in
Oh
here.
my gosh. And we just heard about the Palomino Club, so we heard it was the CBGBs of country music.
Oh, it was.
Which is so
It
cool.
was. It used to be called the Mule Kick. And
Really?
Yeah, my grandfather, we're going to go around the corner here and meet. I'll tell you a little bit about him, but he used to sing there, like in the 40s.
No
It was
kidding.
the meanest cowboy bar ever, and it had such a bad reputation from the get-go. And it's iconic.
I was telling Allie about like just growing up here and how there were still little remnants of sort of the cowboy culture left over that have been slowly sort of disappearing as the condos take over and the ranches disappear and everybody moves out to Norco. But I can even remember people in
And
Anaheim
Norco,
still
wow,
growing up
you
with
know, it's-
horses and stuff. And
Norco has a huge footprint, but as long as people like my age that or anybody, young men like you who
Yeah.
want to learn about it, keep those memories alive. That's wonderful.
I
And Me
love
TV
it.
helps.
But there's even
Me
like
TV
BMX stuff in here, so you're even
Yes,
getting
that's-
into like the 70s and the 80s in here. That's why I was saying to
That's
Connor.
Tommy's pride and joy.
I love that we went from like neon and early like mid-century stuff to even into the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s.
Absolutely.
So it covers
And
the whole
he keeps
history.
that covered, so everybody's interested in doing
It is the
that.
pop culture of the San Fernando Valley. Okay,
now
where are we
we're gonna
going?
sneak into what it is that we're doing for Halloween.
Ooh.
Because I have pretty much gutted my Hollywood area
Okay.
to make it more like for Halloween.
So
for
this is
2
normally the
reasons.
Hollywood area.
This is normally, and
Okay.
this is Gunsmoke, so I didn't do anything with it.
Okay.
But we have a dress from Amanda Blake.
Whoa.
And we have stuntman Ben
James
Bates and
Arness's
James
chair.
Arness, his jacket.
Whoa.
His jacket. And my uncle.
Matt Dillon's
Matt
jacket.
Dillon. And my uncle was Glenn Strange, Sam the bartender on Gunsmoke.
Okay, that is sort of a big deal. Your
Yes.
uncle
Yes.
was Glenn Strange, who was on Gunsmoke and many westerns, but to me and to Tyler back there, how you doing by the way, Tyler?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Tyler's doing very well. Was Frankenstein's monster after Boris Karloff.
That's right. And I call him, I want to clear this up. I
Well,
call
after
him,
Lon Chaney Jr.
After Lon Chaney, yes. But I call him Uncle Glenn, even though my grandfather and he were first cousins. They were born to sisters 1 week apart that lived in the same house, and they were raised like brothers. So they didn't have well, Glenn did, but Cactus didn't. They were the firstborn, so they were off when the other boys were born.
Okay, so wait, and who was your grandfather? Because you just...
My grandfather was Cactus Mac, and this is him right over here, his hat and some of his
Look
career.
at this.
Cactus Mac taught Roy Rogers how to play the guitar when he came over here
Yeah.
from Ohio to Inglewood. My grandfather was credited with bringing Western music to the San Fernando Valley.
Well, I see
And
there's a poster of him with Hoot
Hoot
Gibson's
Gibson.
Rodeo.
Hoot Gibson's
and
Rodeo.
Hoot Gibson, that's early stuff. So did he know
Oh, wait,
everybody?
they
Tom
were the-
Mix and all these people?
Oh, he owned Tom Mix's horse, Tony Jr.
You're
You
kidding
want to
me.
know why? This is a gossipy story.
Okay.
He owned him because because Tom was in the midst of his third divorce and didn't want to lose him.
Oh no!
So he gave his ranch to a friend, and he signed off his horse to a friend. So
No
he
kidding.
technically didn't own them.
So what's this ranch here? Okay, so this is Baker
That
Ranch.
is the Saugus Speedway.
Oh, no
It
kidding!
used to be the Baker Ranch, and if you want to see what the Saugus Speedway looked like in the, I want to say,
Check this out, Tyler. Look at that.
in the 30s, look up a Hoot Gibson movie, and all that green and white building. There's still one green and white building left out there in Santa
Really?
Clarita. It's one left. It's about to fall down.
Oh,
If it
that is the
rains
stuff I
one more
love to
time,
find.
You have to see it.
I love that.
It's gotten down. I've done photo shoots there. It's gotten down to one.
I get excited. I noticed this. I hate to jump the gun, but I
Oh,
noticed the big
this-
Iverson Ranch
This
sign.
was my favorite piece of all because look at what poor condition it was outside.
I love it.
The Iverson Movie Ranch, I'll give you a flyer that I made up for it, it was just outside the old museum, but it was in such disrepair. They brought it in and it had been out in the rain because the film studios had a 30-mile rule.
Right.
So you know that.
Yeah.
All of the
30 miles from Hollywood. That's
you
where all
had
the
to shoot
unions
your
were.
outdoor. You had
Yeah.
to shoot your outdoor scenes within 30 miles of the studio that you filmed it in.
Oh, okay,
That's
that was
why
the
all
rule.
these ranches, I can show you different areas that right where we are. I mean, we could throw rocks and hit them from
Yeah.
where we are. All these areas that were cattle ranches that became movie ranches.
And the Iverson Ranch now has got a lot of condos on it
does.
and stuff like that. So was the sign buried out in the dirt by the
No,
condos?
somebody had it and they brought it in,
Really?
and it was in such bad shape that my husband and I took it home and with tender loving care built a shadow box and just of what it looked like in its original state.
That is
So
so
the
cool.
inside middle is it, and the rest of it is the way it did look in its heyday.
Wow.
And-
Okay, and then this obviously over here, this looks like somebody familiar.
Yes, this is a model of Glenn Strange, and we're going to wrap what we're talking about with these items.
Okay.
So I'll talk to you more about them in a little bit.
Well-
What I'm doing right now is this Hollywood horror. It's coming up next Saturday, September 30th, and I'm glad you came out. I wish you could come to the event, but I know how busy you are this time of year. But we are covering. People bring their displays in and their exhibits, and I have so many science fiction and horror friends that they come in, and this is from my friend Courtney Joyner, and it is on 1950s Castle and Ken films, and he brought this exhibit in for people to enjoy. We just got the museum, I do in my area, and go with Halloween. I
This
don't know
is
how this happens, it
so
just does.
cool.
They
Yeah.
won't let me stop. My
This
friends
is
won't
so
let me
cool.
stop.
You got 13 ghost posters in here,
We
the
have all of that,
Tingler.
and he's got an old camera and screen there, and we're going to be showing Castle and Ken films
Oh
at the
my
event.
gosh. Can we go over there and look at that head
You
really
can.
quick?
I want to
Okay.
show you one more thing before
Oh,
you
okay.
go.
Oh, there's something here.
This is a severed head. Well, it's not a severed head; it's a mask, but it's something you it's something you hadn't seen, and it's from the stuntman Paul Brenniger, who was Wishbone in Rawhide. It is his likeness, and I have a heavy bent on the stuntman here, as you can see, because
Yeah.
the Hollywood Stuntman's Hall of Fame. I've
Well,
got a
and Glenn Strange
huge-
worked as a stuntman,
Oh
right?
yeah, they all did. All of the
Wow.
old guys. This was a stuntman's mask, and right here you can see him sitting. He was grousingly sitting because he wanted to do the stunt, and they wanted him, the stuntman, to do it because And this is the mask that they're making. The makeup man is making for him.
And so the stuntman would wear that mask.
He wore that mask, and when he was shot as the stagecoach driver, it was for 1994 Maverick. When he was shot as stagecoach driver, the stuntman hung over the side and scared all the people
That
because he was
is
dead.
so cool.
And they didn't want Paul Brenniger doing that.
Sure,
Because he's,
yeah.
Valuable. It's
Well,
not
he
that
was
the
getting on in
stuntmen
years,
weren't,
and
but
they didn't want him
yeah.
to break a hip or
I do
something.
believe this is his last movie.
I got to ask you something really quick.
And this is his sons that brought this in, and they'll
Oh,
be here on
really?
the 30th. I want you to
Before
meet
we
them.
even move on to more sci-fi and horror stuff, which I love, I got to go back to Cactus Mac really quick.
Yes.
So tell me just a little bit more about him, because it says Cactus Mac was a sidekick to both Roy Rogers and Gene Autry, and I feel like we gloss. I'm so overstimulated in here. I feel like it's easy to gloss over stuff that's awesome.
I know. I live. People ask
But
me,
this
"What do
was
you
your
do?" And
grandpa,
I'm
right?
like, "Yeah, it's my grandfather," and he was. It's when you watch an old Western and you see all these Western bands.
Yeah.
We tried to chronicleize when they were in this band, and I know you have a music background.
Yeah.
When you were in this band, this one, this one, this one. Well, when you're making movies, on Thursday, you're Cactus Mac and the Saddle Tramps, and on Fridays, you're you, and you
Sure,
are
you're
this band.
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
They did this all the time.
Yeah.
So Cactus was in the Roy Rogers films as Cactus because he basically started Roy in the business when Roy looked him up.
Really?
He had a big radio station here. I was working with Huell Hauser. We were going to put together Cactus's career when he got sick, and that didn't happen. And so I'm grateful for young people like you.
We
that are
love
doing the same thing.
Huell
We love
Hauser.
Huell.
Tyler also loves Huell Hauser, don't you,
We
Tyler?
love
I
Huell.
sure do.
Everyone loves Huell.
Yeah, he was the
Not a
best.
person in the world.
If
doesn't
Huell
love
was
him.
still here, I wouldn't be holding this microphone. We'd let Huell take over.
Oh, he was the best.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we can move on to the other heads
Right.
and the other cool stuff. Sorry, Tyler. You okay there?
Yeah,
So
thanks.
this is a remake. This is a mask from the remake of Spider Baby, which I produced. Was one of the producers on. So
Really?
I'm excited about that. Dustin Ferguson was the filmmaker, and he just got the rights back from Jack Hill, and it's going to be having its premiere on October 31st in Santa Ana.
See, we asked about your grandpa and we asked about your great uncle, cousin, or whatever
Yeah.
Gwen Strange was, but we didn't ask you what you did.
I do a lot of everything.
Yeah, it seems
I
like it.
produce award shows. I did live events, movies. I do a little acting, but I'd rather do what you. I basically do what you do. I run the red carpets and do interviews and
That's
things
so
like
cool. I love that. I
Yeah.
I just met you today, and I feel like I met like a really old friend or like a relative,
that.
like
Well, with you
kindred
being on
spirits
YouTube,
here.
I feel like I've known you forever.
Well, you do know me, and I'm just happy I'm getting to know you. I love that. That's why I always say, you guys do know me. I just don't know you yet. Okay,
And
so what
now
do we
we're
got?
in Universal. So
Ooh.
what we should do is look in this case, because this
Okay.
is the door knocker from 1313 Mockingbird Lane at Universal.
No
Yeah, I didn't show you that.
Way.
Isn't that cool? And this is my homage to the Munsters.
Julie, we were standing over here for like 15 minutes earlier, and you didn't even
I
show us
didn't
that.
show you
Oh
that.
my gosh.
And this is from Country Star Restaurant in
City Walk?
City Walk, back in the day when I was dating.
Wow.
And then these are old maps and pieces from Universal. And something that I find particularly interesting, and if you can catch this, Tyler, this is Spot, who was the...
No way.
Yes, and what he was, Universal was famous for recycling its monsters, and he was the monster from the Land Unknown.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
And so when they opened up the stairs, that was Spot. And there he is on a break reading the paper.
So
doing
Spot
whatever.
was an old T-Rex. He's an old recycled
He's an old
T-Rex.
recycled T-Rex. And these are signed and brought in from Janet Gallo.
Look at that. That is the...
And I even have photos that are signed from Rob Zombie's Monsters.
Oh, that's
Monsters.
cute.
They came in last year.
You know what? That movie got a lot of guff, but it was
I
actually really
liked it.
fun to watch.
I loved it.
It's like kind of the perfect thing to throw on in the background at a Halloween party.
I
and it's
didn't
like
see
kind of
what the big stink was about,
Yeah, it
because-
was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked
Grandpa
it.
Munster killed it.
He was great.
He
He's
was
underneath
so
my
good.
flyer. I shouldn't have put the flyer in there. He wanted to be here, but he couldn't make it this time. He wants to come in, so when he does, you should.
He's a great guy.
I
Well, we were
should.
in a movie together in my friend Tom, who has the Monster Museum in Boulder City, Nevada. He's doing some Plan 10 pictures, these sort of like little indie movies, and then
Right.
we were in a little movie together
Oh,
once,
that's
so that was kind
great.
of fun.
Well, we're going to skip this.
Okay,
We're gonna
skip
come
this.
back.
Don't look over there.
Jump right over to, this is my favorite thing, I think, in the museum. And this is the collection
That's
from
saying a
Jack.
lot.
It is. It's the Jack Cavan collection.
Okay, who's
given
Jack
to the
Cavan?
museum by his daughter. Jack Cavan, this is very interesting, and I'm going to do this in a very tactful way.
Okay.
This is Jack Cavan, handsome beyond anything. But he was the one. We're going to start over here, and I'm going to let you come in here. So we're gonna open
Ooh,
this up.
behind the velvet rope. Do you guys see what kind of access we're getting? I'm very
It's only
excited.
because these are hard to look at. But this monster,
Yeah, the
which
creature.
with a creature, he was designed by Millicent Patrick, an actress. So she designed him.
Yeah.
And Jack Cavan built him. And these are some of the pictures of what
Oh, wow.
he didn't look good
Yeah, that was the
enough.
first version right there.
Right, and they wanted him to look more romantic.
It was Millicent Patrick, right, who gave him all the
But
detail.
Jack Cavan created him, and these are the pictures. This was the original. But if you want
Creature
to,
walks among us.
Get those. Those are terrific. That's one of my favorites there. But Bud Westmore took the credit for the makeup.
Right.
But he did not do makeup. Bud was the only man who.
Yeah, Tyler loves
nodding
this.
his
So you
head.
see Tyler nodding because Tyler loves this
He was the
story.
only man who, of the brothers, that didn't do makeup. It was his company. He was the administrator, but he would jump in and grab a paintbrush and take photos looking as if he was doing the makeup when he was. It was Jack Cavan and his team that did
That
it.
is so cool.
So those of us monster lovers know these stories.
Yeah, and you want to straighten out the record.
Well, my coolest part of this story, before we jump to the collection, is I was standing right over here where Tyler was, and I had just completed a tour, and this little woman says to me, "Your uncle is Glenn Strange." And I said, "Yes." And she was looking at these pictures. She said, "Now I know where I want my father's collection to go." And I said, "Who's your father?" And I was standing over here where Tyler is, and she said, "Jack Cavan." Well, I almost hit the ground.
No kidding.
And that door opened up, and my friend Courtney Joyner, who is an expert on Jack Cavan, was walking through the door. by
Just happened
chance.
to be at that moment?
First time he'd ever come in the museum.
No way.
And I turned around and I said, "Courtney, come here." And he stood there and told her stories and made her cry about her father.
my
And now we're all
gosh.
one big happy family.
I
And
love
she said, "You
this.
have to come to my house on Monday." I said, "Okay, I'll come to your house on Monday." I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And here we have the severed head from the monster from Piedras Blancas.
Wow.
The actual severed head. And that's the picture right there. on
That
the
was pretty
back.
gruesome back then.
It was. It has not been on exhibit ever. It was the
Really?
movie was from 1957, and it's been in her house and in her possession all this time, and we met happenstance here. So you can't tell me things don't happen for a reason.
Yeah, for real. And look
And
at the
these are the
hands.
original hands.
I didn't even see the foot
And
down
down
there.
below, it's not lit properly. I have to redo this case. Is one of the feet, and Ronnie Rondell was the director.
And we were saying earlier, it's like amazing that some of these things can survive, and then yet things built in the 80s and 90s have already
I
deteriorated.
know, whatever he used, and I love talking to the makeup men, and they tell me, well, it was this or that or the other thing, and it lasts and stands the test of time. It seems like the older things last longer than the newer pieces.
I'm going to
some
be
way.
running home to watch that movie now.
You have to.
Because, I mean, that's the kind of thing that just inspires you. Oh,
Well,
look
this
at
case
this.
shows you the other foot, so you can see it better here.
Literally the other foot.
Literally the other foot. And we have the original mole people hands.
Okay,
that
that's
came from him.
Crazy. Because they've been doing a lot of mole people, like action figures and things like
Yes.
that lately. Super Seven's doing some. And so the mole people they're trying to make the mole people like sort of part of the Universal Monsters, the way you haven't really thought of them as part of it. And also the Metaluna Mutant, too. Same
Metaluna
thing.
Mutant, those were the same feet from the Metaluna Mutant.
Really?
So my friend Courtney, these are the original casts from Jack Cavan. Wow. And we identify more all the time, like the one behind you, Tyler, the green one on the second shelf, that is from a movie called The Green Man. And I find out more as I'm going along from my friends that come to these things.
That is incredible.
And the heads, my friend Courtney brought in. They are reproductions, but often they do reproductions of the original casts.
Well, yeah, and
Universal.
sometimes the original stuff is so fragile that they just go back to the original sculpture, and a pole is the same thing. This is so
I have a
crazy.
friend bringing me, I think it's hands, I'm not sure, he had recast from
Whoa!
Donatello.
And look at that up there.
Jordan Rychek from
Peekaboo,
Peekaboo Galleries. I always want to say Consumerama.
I know,
He's
yeah.
hosting Consumerama in our event center in November. So he's also an exhibitor here. And this monster and this piece up here and this piece here, these three pieces are pieces he's allowed me to use from his gallery. Now, we are not going to be auctioning off any exhibits.
Right.
But Jordan is going to be hosting an auction in the event center, and one of the pieces that he is going to be are these monsters that you asked me about earlier.
Yeah, the life-size monster.
The life-size ones, the artwork, and This piece came in from a private exhibitor for me, this Aurora monster. It came in from Ted Haynes. He's a wonderful guy, calls himself the Foam Fabber, and if you don't know him, you have to get to be friendly with him.
Well,
this is a giant Aurora monster model.
And we're meeting again because I saw this guy at Monsterpalooza and I saw him at Midsummer Scream, and he was on exhibit at the same time that we brought out our life-size Frankenstein action figure. And we
So
thought,
did you see this piece
yeah,
already?
we thought we've got a scoop on it. We're gonna do the first life-size Frankenstein action figure.
Cool.
And we showed up to the show and someone had done the life-size Aurora model that all the action figures were based on. We're like, oh, he beat us to
I
the
beat
punch,
ya.
you know.
Well, I'm thrilled about this because my friends that are exhibitors and they love to come in here, my monster folk love to come in here and put things on exhibit and look at things and keep bringing in things and whatnot. And they hooked me up with Ted, and Ted said he wanted to put it in here this
That's
time.
fantastic.
He also said he wanted to sell it. So that's where Jordan came in.
Oh, Jordan, you got to get over here. We got to get Jordan. And for people who don't know, the Aurora model started off the whole 60s monster craze. All the merchandise kind of goes back to the Aurora model.
It does. And so this piece, I said, it breaks my heart, but let's put it for sale. And so
That's
Jordan's
so
going to
cool.
do his best. And then he'll take you, this is usually cowboy or Hollywood
Okay.
related, but it's been given over to Jordan for
Okay. Julie, thank you
Peekaboo.
so much.
Thank you.
I've just met like a new best friend.
Oh,
I
you'll
love
have to
that.
come back.
And here's one of my old best friends. It's Jordan. Jordan, who are you? What do you do? Why are you in this museum?
Thanks, Julie. Well, I mean, who doesn't love this museum, right? I mean,
I love it already.
Well, I'm telling you, Tommy Gelinas, who owns this museum, is living the dream.
Yeah.
I mean, he is someone who, like, anybody who grew up in Southern California, and I think Southern California is like the hotbed of American popular culture.
Yeah, at least for
So-
the last century.
Yeah, well, so much of it sprang from here, and I just love the fact that there's this guy who loved his childhood so much that he ended up ingesting it all and putting it into this place, and it kind of had a like an avalanche effect where you get one thing and then it starts to lead to something
Well,
else.
I'm sure
and-
people are bringing stuff all the time now. Hey,
Well-
I got an old neon sign.
Well, that's what happens when.
Kind of reminds me
business-
of your house, actually, on steroids, I was going to say, a little bit.
Well, that's why I
I
love
thought your
him.
man cave was impressive. I'm no longer impressed. No, I'm kidding.
This isn't a cave. This is like a whole. I don't
City.
even know what you.
It's a man city.
It's really crazy. But that's
Or a
exactly
woman
what
city.
happens. Well, you think about all of these signs. They are from places that when they close down, they know about this, and then they're like, I would like it to be a part of it. But when you walk around, it really represents, I think, American pop culture more so than just the Valley. But you
Yeah.
realize Los Angeles and the Valley was kind of a hotbed, especially from like post-war to
Right.
the 90s.
Yeah.
This is where things were done.
I was
So
telling her,
it's-
having grown up in Orange County with sort of the relics of that, all that 1950s, 60s, 70s classic pop culture era, that it feels a lot like the Valley, probably because they're settled at the same time. But okay, come over here really quick.
Stop talking about that.
Yeah. Look at this freaking monster, the Aurora monster over here. Okay, now what is Consumerama, the thing that's happening down here at Valley Relics? What is it? Why are we looking at this? Why is it important? What's going on, Jordan?
Well, Peekaboo is, as you know, like we're a art gallery that deals with pop culture.
Yeah.
So
Cool stuff. A
Well,
cool
we deal
stuff
with
art gallery.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we deal with art, but it's also objects
Yeah.
and consumer pop culture things. Obviously, oceanic arts, tiki, things like that. But we do experiences and we do festivals and Exoticon we just did that you covered. Thank you.
Yes.
And the OA events. Consumerama is a continuation of that, where we're doing things that are celebrating 20th century consumer pop culture. So anything that falls under that umbrella. So there's Hollywood memorabilia, there's decor, there's vintage electronics, a little bit of everything.
And in this case, a little bit of vintage Halloween. So what stuff is yours here in this section?
Well, we aligned with, just because I love Tommy so much, and we've done talking about doing things together. This year, we because we had a large Halloween and horror collection, we thought that it would be cool to have something that aligned with the Halloween season.
Yeah.
So Julie graciously gave me a section of her.
She gave you your Hollywood corner.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is normally where a lot of her Western stuff is, and we decided to kind of expand it out for Halloween. This is just one component of Consumerama, but as an example, this is really just such a mind-blowing thing. What blows me away about this is the pieces.
The Aurora.
Well, the testers.
Oh,
the
yeah, with the
paints,
paint and the brushes and stuff.
they're absolutely just mind-blowing.
Can we go off on a history journey actually with the models just a little bit, just because
Sure.
it is Halloween? So look, these are originals, right?
Yeah, these are all original.
So that's the
issues.
giant version.
Yes, and this is to scale, by the way. Like when I first saw this, I thought, wow, why is the box so big? But it to fit the
pieces.
the pieces in it on the little the
Flashing stuff.
Yeah, the spire tree. What do they call them? The
model thing.
Yes, but with the instructions and everything. So this is 100% to scale.
Man.
Really, really accurate. These are the original models as they were issued in the 60s with like James Bama artwork. And I mean, this was postmodern, the sort of second wave, the 60s wave of monster
The sort of weird
memorabilia.
TV monster craze. But for most monster collectors, I mean, finding stuff from the 30s and 40s out of the price range, for most monster collectors, it kind of starts with this. 'Cause I know there's a
I
lot
don't know.
of guys.
These are kind of out of the price range now too.
Well, yeah,
like the
they're
common
getting there.
collector.
So these are originals? They're
Yeah.
not the repops?
No, these are all originals.
Wow.
And this era, I mean, the lettering and things like that all comes out of Forey Ackerman and Famous Monsters of Filmland,
yeah.
which was based on when Vampira and the Shock Theater campaigns happened in the
Yeah,
mid-50s.
all the horror hosts.
Yeah, when Universal was licensing their stuff, and that's what kicked off the second wave of
And there's
monster
my head
pop.
down there in the bottom. Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at the
that's-
Frankenstein head down there.
Hey, that's a really incredible head. I love that thing.
You
No,
don't know
it's
how hard
fantastic.
Tyler's geeking out about these boxes right now.
Are you geeking out, Tyler?
Very much so.
Yeah, Tyler builds some of these in his spare time, just randomly. He wouldn't even tell us. His wife had to tell us, like, yeah, Tyler's been building some models. I'm like, you've been building some what? And he's been building, like, the Repop ones later,
Sure.
the Polaris ones. And
Well, they're
stuff
right
like
off
that.
the molds. I mean,
And it's
they're
so
great.
cool.
Well,
Okay,
these
so
these all are complete. There's a few of them that we have just the boxes. These are the later glow in the dark series, and these are all still sealed.
that is so stinking
So this was
cool.
from a collector, Mark Lavolsi, who was a very famous. He was Jon Favreau's editor. He's won Academy Awards, and he had an incredible collection. We sold off his Godzilla collection a few years ago.
Oh, that's right. At Midsummer Scream, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
So this is the remainder of his Hollywood monster comic collection.
I want to tell you something
But
right
that's
now.
not all of Consumerama.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's Consumerama stuff sort of spread throughout the museum. I know you're still setting up, so thanks for letting us in early before everything kicks
we
off.
are still setting up.
And it's a work in progress, but I noticed that it's like peppered in, and everything fits in here so cool. Like, it's awesome. What a cool venue to have this stuff in.
Well, when people come and visit the museum, we will have Consumerama signage everywhere, and there'll be peekaboo tags on everything. So
So you'll be able to tell them apart.
Right. I mean, the museum is not selling off their collections. We want to make that very, very clear. They're hosting us here just because of the alignment, especially in Julie's section here, where we have this monster memorabilia for Halloween.
This is awesome.
But just a few notes about these pieces. This is by an artist, Kelly Mann, who's very well connected. He does ridiculously lifelike, life-size monsters.
Yeah.
Like that
Reagan is a little too realistic, if you ask me.
But
there's
you know,
Boris Karloff.
Yeah, fantastic.
We have Glenn Strange, which is so cool because Julie is here.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then this piece here, this is an original San Julian Vampirella oil painting. Is that not
Was that on a
insane?
cover?
No, this was a commission piece.
That is so stinking cool. Okay, so wait, who's Vampirella? For those of us who don't know who Vampirella is,
Well, Vampirella was part of the craze in the 70s that was taking monsters and sex and, and taking it to the next level. And she had
so
comics
cool.
completely, that were created about her. San Julian was one of the main artists that did her.
that's so awesome. Okay, well, what else do we got? I know there's Consumerama stuff everywhere, so we're just
Let's
going to
check it
wander. We're just going to walk and talk and wander. Oh, here we go. This is like the marquee piece. This is the guy on all the posters and all the signs. What the heck is this robotic pharaoh thing?
This is really, really cool. This is an original Hikari Productions promotional statue that was in Little Tokyo in the 80s.
In LA here?
Yeah, it's from Japan, but it was in Little Tokyo in the 80s. But a quick thing about the show, it's from Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot, which is also known as Giant Robo. And this show is created by the the creator of Gigantor, and it was a live action show. The robot looked exactly like this, but this is an original 80s, probably early 80s model. That is, because when you see stuff like this now, it's made in a much different material.
Right,
You can tell it's very old. And this was won in a raffle in Little Tokyo. I think sometime in the late 80s.
In a raffle?
Yeah,
No, it's
well, they
weird.
were giving it away from that store.
I was trying to explain this to someone that's a little younger than me the other day. I was like, you don't understand. In the 80s and in the even in the early 90s, we didn't really have all that life-size stuff. That sort of came in with, I like to say, episode 1,
Right,
like
right.
around the end of the 90s and stuff. So if
True.
someone had a life-size Yoda or something like that in their house, it was a rare deal. Where now you can find them on eBay, you can find them places. So something from that time period must be exceedingly rare. I've never seen that show.
Except for Japan. Japan was always into like
Life-size
oversized,
stuff.
Yeah.
But something about this, the design and everything pops. It makes me
Well,
want to
look at his
watch
eyes.
this.
Look how his eyes are set in plastic, but the eyeballs are behind the. You know,
really look like they're
at it
gonna
from the
move.
side. Yeah, well, it has a super realistic look.
That is so cool. And this is in the auction. This is in
Yeah.
Consumerama. Oh, there's the Consumerama sign right there. Look at that. We got a little signage going. I love that logo. You should do a logo for me, Jordan. You ever thought about doing that?
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay. I love that story.
But the thing is that with Consumerama, we want to make sure that people understand the whole collection is not here. This is a sampling of it.
Right.
And we're doing it just to have it in line with Valley Relics, which I love so much. We are holding the live auction here. That
Okay.
will be November 5th.
But half of the stuff isn't even going to be on display here, right? So where can we go to see the other stuff that we can't see in here?
Well, let's go over here
or
and
at the
we'll
live
show
auction.
you.
All right, we're standing in a new area now. What are we looking at?
Well, this is a still work in progress here. This is just a little section that we have some of the smaller items that are in the sale. Now, Consumerama is really curated by Peekaboo, and it's just whatever we think is cool. So it's unlike an auction that's, we have rare coins or just movie props or, comic art. This is a little bit of everything. So there's decor, clothing, you name it, electronics, vintage signs. So like these Shriner boots, like these are leather hand-tooled Shriner boots that would be,
Like in a Shriner
in a Shriner
parade?
parade. Yeah, isn't that great?
Oh my gosh.
So if you have like like a yellow Speedo and you just want to like
Me personally,
Well,
I don't have a yellow Speedo, but
it
I
would
could get
match.
one. So all this whole case, this is all Consumerama stuff. Look at that Piggly Wiggly clock
well,
right
we have
there.
an original Piggly Wiggly costume.
Oh my gosh.
Like a walk-around costume. You may have seen it on American Pickers. They had one.
Oh
and
my
we've got the full
gosh.
thing in with the uniform and the crate, the shipping crate that it came in.
This is so cool because this is like, I see stuff like this and I go, how do people get this stuff? And this is how. Something like Consumerama. I almost
totally.
said Karumarama. That would be weird. Wait a minute. So tell me, so the atomic disintegrator, that's for sale. The boots are for sale. Is the pizza up here for sale?
Well, we're still setting up.
I think Tyler could go for a pizza right now. Isn't that right, Tyler?
Yeah, I could go for a slice.
He could go for a slice. Okay, so what else we got? Wait, is that real?
Yeah, so that's a real sound clapper from Scarface.
Whoa.
Yeah, used on set, the Brian De Palma film.
You see this stuff all the time, but to me, I'm like, whoa. And what about this? What about
is
this
a
Dino's
consignor.
Lodge?
Actually, that piece, there are pieces that are being donated for proceeds to the museum. Now, the museum is getting proceeds from the auction, and there are people that are donating pieces for the proceeds to go to this museum, because this museum is 100% self-funded. And, Tommy is putting his heart and soul into this place, and so
Man.
hey, if you want to donate some stuff to the museum or to one of our auctions and donate proceeds to the museum, we can do that.
Can I just donate my time as like the night guard and I can just stay in here? This is crazy. It's like Brian De Palma, or you got Brian De Palma over here. You got Roman
Chinatown.
Polanski. You got Chinatown over there.
We got Dino's Lodge.
Yeah, so explain Dino's Lodge.
Well, Dino's Lodge started on Sunset Boulevard, and it was supposed to be, it was marketed as being Dean Martin's,
Right.
restaurant. Really, it was a bunch of investors, and they paid Dean Martin to put his name
There's a
on
lot
it.
of like Hollywood celebrity restaurants back then. Like even the
Tons.
skipper from Gilligan's Island had a restaurant. Everybody had a restaurant over here. Everybody's got a restaurant but me. I always thought I'd be really good at that. Get a couple of guys, they invest in a really nice gluten-free restaurant. Then I could be that guy that comes
You
out.
actually should do that.
I could be the idiot cousin that comes out and goes like, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome to my restaurant." I am Italian. It's in the blood. Anyway. Okay, what is that? Because that is absolutely terrifying. Please tell me that's not haunted.
Well, Cliff Robertson's in an episode of Twilight Zone where he has this dummy. This is an exact replica of the dummy that's in that episode.
Oh my gosh.
But also what he's sitting on is pretty incredible. This is director John Milius's director's chair that he had on all of the films, and he didn't direct a lot of films, but he's famous for Conan the Barbarian.
Go back and watch that movie again. And a friend of mine pointed this out to me. Shout out to the friend. He's like, go listen to the soundtracks again. Like some incredible music and everything. So anyway, I just recently
Like
watched.
when he punches out the camel.
I just recently rewatched that movie, and I'm like, this is a hit. This is like
Oh,
a
yeah.
sleeper hit. Like no one remembers Conan the Barbarian. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Arnold
well,
Schwarzenegger.
And Milius. Milius is like a very, very cool director,
cool.
and that's his personal director's chair.
Okay.
So, I mean, you walk through all of this stuff. Like, you saw nudies.
No,
Did you
we
see
didn't
nudies?
even go that way. We're gonna save that for
All right,
Tommy
save
one
that
day.
for another one.
Yeah,
Okay.
but look at this. Oh, the Turtles
Henry's
game.
Tacos.
They've been holding out on me. I didn't know the Ninja Turtles game was in here. See, now that.
Oh, yeah.
That
Well-
was like my dream. My dream as a child was to grow up and own this. When I first heard, there was a guy at my parents' church when I was growing up, and all he did was fix arcade games on Brookhurst and Orange, somewhere like that in Anaheim. And I remember seeing one of these on a truck, and I was like, wait, people can just buy those? My mind was blown.
Well, you just met Connor.
I know.
Him
I
and his
can't
dad, that's all they
believe that.
do.
Oh, I need that one turned on with the free play. Okay, so we're going into the event center. So this is where the auction will be, right?
Yes, in this is the main room. I think you guys were here earlier.
Dude, look at the size of this place. It's like seeing it again for the first time every time I walk in here.
Oh, no, I never get used to it.
This is like
it's
everything I
mind-blowing.
love. The first question I asked Julie when I walked in, she said, have the American Pickers seen this? Because they're going to be very interested.
Oh, it's insane. The Palomino. Oh my God, the Palomino sign's so
So
crazy.
cool.
But
Okay, so
anyhow,
what's in here?
So Peekaboo is just in here. We're just showing some of the pieces from the collection, and we're still in setup right now. But here's the sign for Consumer.
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about.
So we're opening the Consumerama preview, which is really not a preview. It's just a sampling from
Right.
the collection.
A little sample.
And the Hollywood Horror collection is all going on display.
Starting
and
September
opening
30th.
September 30th,
Until when?
Saturday. It opens at 10 a.m. to 2.
No, but I mean like for how many weeks or whatever?
Yeah, it's going to run all through October.
Oh, okay.
So it-
every weekend in October, Valley Relics will be open. People can come check out all
Saturday
the
and
stuff.
Sundays.
Get interested in Consumerama.
Well, and soak this in. I mean, it's crazy.
I can't soak all this in at once. I'm not a big enough sponge. I'm working on it, but I'm not quite big enough yet. And what the heck is this?
This is a Zoltan machine. This is kind of what the Big, the one from Big is based on. It's from the late 60s. This machine, we had it converted to, in fact, I can even show you. Check out the interior, it's really neat.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, it originally ran on an 8-track tape.
Oh, that is warm in there.
Yeah. And there was an 8-track tape that was here, but we actually had that converted to an MP3 player. And what it is you choose your fortune, you put in a token, choose your fortune, and basically it'll read you your fortune and your horoscope.
Through this?
Yes.
So you pick this up and you're like, okay, Aries.
And he's like, hello, I am Zoltan. And so, yeah, very beautiful
Hold on.
condition.
Oh, this is not good. I don't want to hear that. Okay, I'm sorry. Consumerama, you were saying.
Anyhow, so the collection is basically on display in this area, and there's a little bit peppered throughout the museum. You'll see Consumerama signage.
So all this stuff
So-
is stuff from Consumerama.
Yeah, and it's just a
Wow.
little cross section of just cool stuff.
Like
It
what
doesn't
is
really
this,
matter.
for example, right here?
That's an original Paul Coker. Paul Coker was the designer that did all of like the Rudolph the Reindeer's.
All the
Rudolph
What are
the
those-
Red-Nosed Reindeer.
what are those movies?
Those are all Rankin Bass.
Rankin
shows.
Bass.
So he was the main designer for all the Rankin Bass
Really?
shows. And he's an incredible artist. And he did a lot of stuff for Mad Magazine. And this is original art by him. This is original Don Martin, one of the coolest artists of all time.
I love that you always know like all these artists. Well, it's because you have a
yeah.
background in animation, and if you don't mind
Yeah.
me telling people that, I know you worked on Ren and Stimpy. You worked on a million things.
Well, on Ren and Stimpy, we just, worshipped Don Martin. He's the most psychotic cartoonist of all time.
Oh, and this is what's this guy again? His name?
Well, this is the Western Exterminator.
Yeah. What do they call him? The Little Man or something like that?
Yeah.
That's what
And-
Connor was saying. I'm thinking Little Man, because the one in the corner over there is a big man.
Well, the thing is that these were on the back of all the trucks, and the big one over there, the 20 3-footer or whatever it is. That was on the 5 freeway. But these were really famous for being on the back of all of the exterminator trucks.
going,
And
"Come
like
here.
this thing would.
I won't hurt you.
Actually, Leroy Schmaltz made that base for it.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, well, I asked Leroy. I was like, we're sticking this in the auction. Can you make a base?
Oh.
So it's got a little Leroy in it.
I can never get away from Leroy, which is not a
We
bad
shouldn't
thing.
get away from Leroy.
I love that. Okay, what do we
But
got
just
to...
quickly, this is from a Playboy Club from the 60s. So that would be, this is like a solid,
Don
aluminum.
Draper could have seen that.
Totally. Very, very cool. This is original Al Jaffe, the famous fold-in covers from the back of Mad Magazine, where you'd fold them and they'd create another image.
Oh, and you can see the actual pasted
Yes.
on the copy on
The
there.
whole thing. This would be shot in the back of a Mad Magazine. And this is the original rendered painting and the graphics cell.
That is so sick.
This is by the creator of Gigantor, who also created Johnny Sacco.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the original cartoon by him of Gigantor.
Where does all this stuff come from?
It's all over the place.
Where do you get these wonderful toys?
Oh, this place is really cool.
Are we going around the back? Where are we going?
This is Raymond A.
Oh.
White, who, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons and cool sci-fi medieval stuff, he was a very famous sci-fi illustrator in the 30s through the 70s. And this is just this amazing painting by him. His stuff is very highly collected, and this is like just
Don't look at
medieval
that part.
sci-fi. Yeah, a little nudie.
Children, look away. This is insane.
Isn't that great?
I
I love
can't
the
stop
frame.
looking at this, though. Where the heck did that come from?
This is off an 80s arcade.
No way.
Actually, probably late 70s.
Look at that. It's freaking Pac-Man.
Double-sided. I know, isn't that great? I love it.
That is so cool. And then this, I saw this in your living room a little while ago.
Yeah, this is Felix. Well, this is what I've been holding a lot of the Consumerama stuff. We were supposed to have this before COVID. And then, so it was just, it's kind of got a delay, but we're having it now.
Kind of a
This-
delay, a little delay, a little hiccup.
Yeah, we're back for more punishment. So this is Felix from Felix Chevrolet in, I wouldn't call it downtown Los Angeles,
Yeah,
but
in LA.
over near USC. There's a really great story behind this. I don't know if you want to hear it.
I do want to hear it.
Well, it was basically the creator of Felix back in the 20s when they opened that dealership. The owner of the dealership was friends with Otto Mesmer. And the two of them worked together and they would do graphics and things
Right,
like
sure.
that. And they would go to lunches and basically said, hey, look, can I use that Felix character for my dealership? And he said, sure, well, if you buy me lunch. And they worked out a little contract, which is still standing to this day. So no matter who owns Felix, I know that Katzenberg at one point, when I was working at DreamWorks, they had bought
They bought Felix the cat?
Yeah, but they couldn't do anything about this one dealership. So
So they canceled the movie. No Felix. We'll do Shrek. We're not doing Felix.
Thank God they didn't do Felix. But the thing is that these were made back in the 20s. They were paper mache, but by the 60s they were all falling apart. So they had made a mold of it, and this is the original 60s kind of fiberglass version of
But
it.
they molded it off the original paper mache
The paper
one?
mache ones, and they only made like I think 15 of them.
That's right, because before all the big giant fiberglass and the Muffler Men and all the all American fiberglass stuff, it was all paper mache. Like I know the little RCA dogs, what's his name?
Right,
Nipper.
Nipper.
Those were all paper mache back in the day. That's crazy. Okay, and
But
then
this is an original. I mean, the thing is that I mean, no one's really replicated these, but this is from the dealership.
because they're from this one dealership,
Yeah,
so they're like a
yeah.
really rare thing.
It's very, very
And
rare.
this I never knew existed until I walked in this building right here. You've been holding out on me. What the heck is
Hardee's.
that?
That's from the open Hardee's, basically, which is still in business to this day, and basically opened in I think it was 1961 or 62.
Where?
Back east.
Yeah, because I
And-
was going to say, I think Hardee's, I think Texas, I think Kansas, I think Missouri. I don't think Southern California.
No. This is when they first started to expand in about, I think it's like 62.
Man.
And this was basically, I think they only had 2 or 3 of these made up, again, early fiberglass. And these would show up at the different openings of their franchise.
So like Ronald McDonald's.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know they had a little
very,
chef.
Very early.
It
But
looks like
that's-
Chef
Well, that's
Boyardee.
what they were called, is Hardee's Little Chef.
Oh my gosh, they had Burger Chef back then. They had the Hardee's
Right.
Little Chef. You had Chef Boyardee running around causing chaos with pasta. You don't need to go to a burger restaurant. Just go to your cabinet and your microwave. And what are these down here? Now, I recognize the carpet guy. He's the, what's it called? The carpet store. What's the carpet store called?
Well, it's Maslin Carpets.
Maslin
Which
Carpets.
is still in business to this day.
Yeah.
But that is, really
I've only
off
ever
the
seen one of
charts.
those on American Pickers, I think.
Yeah,
And
I think
that's
they
it.
did. We had one once before, a long time ago we first opened up Peekaboo, we
But
had
what's
one.
this chicken?
Well, this is Chicken Delight, which was another famous Southern California chicken restaurant.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And then I
it was
see,
a competitor to.
I can see the Pioneer Chicken thing up here,
Yeah.
and here's another just to the right there. That little chef. That's Tyler's
They have
got
one
him.
in the museum collection.
That
here.
is so cool. They had the
But
big
this one's
Pioneer
for sale.
sign.
And well, here we have the original art
Oh my gosh!
to the facade and the sign from the Hollywood location, one of the first locations.
I
of Pioneer
loved
Chicken.
Pioneer Chicken as a kid. There's only 2 spots left, I think,
Yeah.
in LA, and that's it anywhere. And then you've got some old.
That's original art right there. That's not even a print. That's the original painting.
That's the actual painting.
Yes, that's the painting that was done by the company that did all the signage.
You got the color
Look at that.
TV sign down here by our feet, which
Oh,
we've
look at
seen
that.
those. We've seen those before. That's really cool. Well, that one I want to look at last because that's like
Are
the
you
coolest
saving
thing.
that for
I'm
dessert?
saving that for dessert. Look over here. We got Tyler. We got fake Tyler over here. Bob's Big Boy. Is that original? I
That's-
know they reproduce them.
Well,
now.
that's a later one. It's not from like the 50s or 60s.
Cool. And then there's this thing right here, Mr. Freaking Peanut. I saw one of these one time at the Glendale show. The guy wanted something like $200 for it, and he didn't have the cane, but I went, okay, I'm coming back to get that. I walked around the show. I came back, and some guy had bought it. I was
Oh,
just
man.
walking around and, oh, I bought this dumb thing. I was like, no, I would have cherished him. I would have cherished Mr. Peanut.
He would have been cool in your banana Speedo that
I
you were
would-
going to wear with your boots.
Yeah, or living in my garage instead of that disgusting rat, that I've got out there.
The rat versus the Mr. Peanut would be a good show.
Yes, it would. You see, so
Maybe you
maybe
need to buy that in
you
the
might,
auction.
Maybe take it out of the auction, put it in the back corner for me.
Yeah, we'll think about
We'll
that.
think about it. Okay, and then last but not least is this thing under the dome, which I once saw sitting on your kitchen table, I think, and I didn't even ask anything about it because I just glanced at it and I saw Kentucky and I thought you had some other KFC stuff. I thought, oh, it's a Kentucky Fried Chicken model or something, but it's not. What the heck is that thing?
Well, Kentucky Fried Chicken was purchased from the Colonel in the early 1960s, and the guy who purchased it actually ended up becoming the governor of Kentucky. And he was so confident that he could slap the Colonel's face on anything, and it would sell. And Arby's had just opened
Okay.
in the mid 60s, and he was convinced that he could do better with just slapping the Colonel's name on it. So they called it Kentucky Beef, which is just like, that doesn't roll off the
It
tongue.
doesn't sound good.
Well,
Like,
it's
ooh, that's some
it's
Kentucky
it's
beef.
missing some syllables.
Right.
It's like, how about Kentucky Fried Beef
Yeah,
or
Kentucky,
whatever.
Kentucky Fried Beef.
But it's actually Kentucky Beef and Ham. But it's one of the biggest failures
Kentucky
in
beef.
fast food history. Because what happened was he was so confident that they opened, I think, over 100 locations by 1967. And by 1971, they were all closed.
Oh my gosh, that's 4 years.
Yeah, they did not last very long. They
I just noticed the
completely
Kentucky
tanked.
ham on there. That's even worse.
I-
What's wrong with you, Justin? Oh, I had some Kentucky ham last night, dude. No offense to Kentucky.
should be a song.
You guys do some great whiskey out there, but the ham I'm not so sure about. Like, oh, look at that guy. He's a piece of Kentucky beef. That could be good. Just depends on who you're talking to, I guess.
Well, a lot of these locations are still around Southern California. They've got the site.
Really?
There's
Wait,
places.
we had Kentucky beef in Southern California?
Oh yeah, there were several. And that sign, see that sign?
Yeah, the shape of the
Kentucky
sign
Beef?
with the two
That's actually,
lampposts?
there's a few locations in Los Angeles that still have it.
You're kidding me.
Believe it or not, see the top, those corner lights?
Yeah.
One of them is here.
Really? In the museum?
Yeah, on the other side of the museum, they actually have one of the Kentucky Beef lights.
No kidding. Okay, that's the weirdest thing
Yeah,
I've
that's
ever
pretty
seen.
amazing.
That's insane.
So, I mean, this is just a portion of what's going to be in the Consumerama sale. But the thing is, when you come here to visit it, the museum itself is just off the charts.
You were like, you've never been to Valley Relics, that's going to blow your mind. But
I couldn't believe
it
you'd never
blew
been
me
here.
into the stratosphere. Well, it's like I said at the beginning, I was like, it's one of those places that is epic, you're going to love, and you almost kind of save it for a rainy day. And I haven't even really looked at a lot of pictures because I'm like, no, I want to experience it. And boy, what an experience. This is like mind-blowing. I don't want to leave. Can I sleep right there?
Well, it's like the glow of all of this neon.
It's
It's just so glorious.
I was telling Julie that I've only ever seen this in one other place, which was
Las Vegas?
No, St. Louis had an exhibit like in the old World's Fairgrounds where they have a history museum and they did a Route 66 exhibit. So they brought in a bunch of old neon signs, some reproduced some of them. That's the only time I've ever seen an assemblage quite like this, or maybe the Neon Museum in Ohio.
Well, there's a
And
neon
that's about
museum
it.
here in LA that's pretty amazing.
It's another place I've been saving.
Yeah, well, this is more than just neon. That's the thing that's so great about it.
No, the
I mean,
neon's almost just
I mean,
like icing on the
Spicoli's
cake.
van,
Yeah.
you know, Spicoli's van.
We've been
or-
trying not to look at everything so we can say
Oh,
something
so you
for
can
when
come back
Tommy's
for-
here.
yeah.
But it's
Tom- you
like,
have to- Tommy is really a maverick. You
This
know,
is so cool.
He's such an interesting guy.
What's up
and,
with that
and this
bike?
place is all about him, so you really need to come back.
I want to come back and steal that bike over there. Don't tell Tommy I said that. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
yeah, they don't take kindly to
This
that
is
kind of
so cool. Okay, well, this is where we started. Is this where we end? Is there more Consumerama stuff to see? And if it's not here, where can we see the other Consumerama stuff?
Well, if you go to peekaboogallery.com, where the catalog's going to be uploaded in about a week and a half.
Yes.
We're going to have about 650 lots. It's going to be really a fun auction.
All this kind of stuff, really.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool. It's like the
Yeah.
perfect fit. There's no better place to put this kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're into this kind of stuff, you're going to like Consumerama.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're going to do the auction here at the museum.
Live.
We're gonna have,
What day is that?
That's going to be Sunday. I was like, what day is it?
Sunday?
Sunday, November 5th.
Okay.
And I think we're going to be starting at 10 or 11 a.m. We have to look on the website.
Man.
But we're going to have
It's
food and
peekaboogallery.com.
cocktails. Yeah, peekaboogallery.com or at Peekaboo Gallery on social. And we're going to be posting.
It's been fun following your Instagram account.
Well, it's all what we're trying to do now is like when in a traditional auction, you don't generally get
Yeah.
to tell that much.
Right.
We don't have that much space, and we have really great catalogs, that we've done. But
Oh, you guys
only
do
have so
full
much.
on books and cool stuff. I mean, the Peekaboo books that I've got, they're the greatest reference guides to anything ever. And what I love about you and all your events is each event sort of tells a story. And sometimes even sub-events within an event will tell a story, like you did with Aloha OA or Exoticon. And the cool thing about following you guys on Instagram, which is a very good choice, is that you're going to be updated with like, I know you have plans for all kinds of events that I'm sworn to secrecy on and can't even mention, but let's put it this way. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, actually, that's right. You haven't really covered Exoticon.
No.
Well,
I
we
couldn't.
had Exoticon.
It was
but-
unlike anything else in the world.
Well, we're going to have some news on that in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
But the thing is, what we do are experiences that celebrate the stuff that we eventually sell in the auction. The difference is that I go to a place like this and I'd be like, I want to have this in my house.
Yeah.
So I left animation to basically take my love of stuff.
You have the coolest job.
Build experiences around it, but also, get collectors together who want to either sell stuff or buy stuff, and we make experiences out of it. So for
Man.
this one to be in this temple of pop culture goodness is just mind-blowing.
I don't know who said it, but somebody once said, like, the goal in life is not to own all the toys, it's to get to play with all the toys. And I think it's cool that you get to play with all the toys and then hand them off to good homes, which is the
Totally.
cool part. And that there's going to be new caretakers of some of the cool stuff that we just got to see. I can't believe there's more, because it's like, well, that's enough to blow my mind.
Yeah.
And there's even more. And you guys are
there's-
just starting the setup.
There's so much stuff in this sale that's just mind-blowing.
This is so cool. Dude, well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you for having us in here. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having us at all the Peekaboo stuff. You'll never be able to get rid of me. Hey guys, thank you for watching this exciting visit to Valley Relics. It totally blew my mind. Thank you to Julie and Jordan and everybody involved in the video. It was amazing. Unfortunately, we had a little camera error there, so we didn't get to include our goodbyes from the actual Valley Relics Museum itself. And now I'm out here on the East Coast. I'm in New Hampshire and Maine and driving all around for new adventures that are coming up soon. I just wanted to pop in and say thank you to everybody involved. A special big thank you to Tyler for filming it and Jared for editing what he could. We're having all kinds of problems with the internet. He's the hero of the hour. I can't wait to get back to Valley Relics once I'm back in California. But for now, we've done our duty. Time to go home and sleep well. See you on the next one.